Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kate, this is Diamond Painting and Dr. Pepper, and it's that time again, my favorite time of month. It's time for month in review videos. I love watching these, I love making these, so let's get into mine. As usual with my month in review videos, I'm going to start off by talking about my whips and finishes, and then I'll talk about the diamond paintings that I purchased this month for October, and then after that I might talk a little bit about some plans I have upcoming for Christmas time and maybe the start of next year. And then after I get done with all the diamond painting stuff, I'm going to talk about the books I read in October. So if you're only here for the diamond painting stuff, that'll be first, and then we'll get to all the book stuff after. So with that said, let's get started. In October, I only worked on a single kit the whole time, which is not typical for me. If you know me, I'm usually a multi-whipper, but around Drills and Chills time, I often try to do one kit at a time so that I know whether or not to start another one, because I want to finish them all within a reasonable time frame for the fall. I don't want to be carrying them over into like Christmas time and stuff. So that's why I only worked on Halloween Bedroom by Mrs. Butter D for the entire month. And this one I actually finished just like 4 minutes before midnight on October 31st. So I finished it on Halloween. It was perfect. I started it on September 28th and finished it on October 31st, like I said. So I guess when I'm only working on one, I can get a pretty big one done in a month. This one is a square kit. It is 65 by 91.8 centimeters, so pretty big. Not the biggest it could be, but still pretty large. And I enjoyed every single moment of working on this kit. It was such a blast. I loved the crystals in the chair and in a couple other places on here. And the color palette of this one was so Halloween-y. It was just perfect for the season and for my mood, and I had a blast working on it, and it was definitely a rainy day kit for me. And I was really happy to be able to work on it this year. My friend Michaela kind of talked me into it because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to finish it in time because it was so big. And I did Artsy Girl by Mrs. Butter D earlier this year, and it's around the same size, and it took me a lot longer to finish that one. But of course, I was working on other kits besides just that one at the time. So I guess that made a big difference because I was able to get this one done in a month and finish it before the end of the month. So I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, it was a blast. I highly recommend this one to anybody. The glue on this one did need some time to cure, so I was leaving I'd open up my next section and leave it overnight, or at least for a few hours to cure so it would get stickier before I went in to put my drills on. So it wasn't really a problem unless I didn't do that. Other than that, I had a blast with it. It was so much fun. So that is my only finish for the month because it's the only one I really worked on, except for my whip that I'm carrying into November and for the rest of the year, which is my Months of the Year Mini Dazzles set that I've been working on since January. So I did get October's done this month in October. I almost forgot to work on it. Luckily, I remembered, I think last weekend, so I managed to get it done before the end of the month, and it was a lot of fun. I love the fall vibe and look of this one, so it was a good time to get done. And yeah, only 2 more of these to go. Crazy, we're almost done with the year, guys. And that's all I have for you for what I worked on during the month of October. That was it. So I'll talk a little bit now about what I purchased in October. And I only had one order this month, which was crazy. But it was the Halloween drop. So I got 4 kits in the Halloween drop, and it was Boo Cafe by Mrs. Butter D, Boo It's Coffee Time by Mrs. Butter D, Cozy Autumn by Aria Illustrations or Rita Konya, and the Autumn Cozy Mystery by Marigona Suli. So those were the 4 I got from the Halloween drop, and it was pretty hard to narrow it down to 4, but those were the 4 that I just could not do without. I had to have all 4. So I am so excited to add those to my collection. Maybe I'll work on one next year for Drills and Chills. I almost decided to kit up the mystery kit this year and just work on it in the background while I was doing Christmas stuff, but I decided not to this time so I could just get Halloween bedroom done and then move right into Christmas. So speaking of that, my plans when it comes to the rest of the year are I'm going to resume working on Cabin, which is by the McNeil Studio, and it's a kit that I started last year and then kept it kitted up and put aside with the plan to continue to work on it every year at Christmas time until it's done, however many years that takes, because it was a rainy day kit also, and I just kind of want to savor it. The McNeil Studio is no longer with Diamond Art Club, and this one is obviously archived, and I'm having a lot of fun working on it, but it's also a landscape, which is not something that I do a lot of. It has to be kind of a special landscape for me to want to work on it, and I don't want to burn out on it. I want to really enjoy it, so I'm only working on it a little bit at a time during the Christmas months and then putting it away till the next year. So we'll see how much of it I get done this year. And then alongside working on that, I think I have decided to go ahead and kit up Clara's Christmas by Miss Holly, which is one that I almost did last year, but decided to work on a Marigona kit instead. So I've been really looking forward to working on this one. I just love the artwork and the colors, and I'm really excited to work on it for Christmas. So the only thing with that one is that it is a square kit, and I just finished a big square kit, and Cabin is also a square kit. So I was kind of thinking it'd be nice to work on a round kit, but all the winter/Christmas round kits that I really have are Mrs. Butter D. And I just finished like 2 Mrs. Butter D in the last 2 months. So I feel like I should spread them out a little bit and not do all of them this year so that I have some to work on in future years. So yeah, those are my plans for the rest of the year. And then next year, I talked about this a little bit in one of my recent vlogs, but I'm thinking I want to do a year-long project where I work on a Disney kit. Like I always have a Disney kit going throughout the whole year. So I not like one a month, because some of them are pretty big and I couldn't finish it in a month, but I'm going to start one, and then once I finish it, however long that takes me, I'm going to start another Disney kit, and I'll work on that all year next year alongside whatever other projects I'm working on, and I think that would be really fun. I went through my gems flow today and I put a little mouse emoji next to the names of all the Disney kits that I own so I could see about how many I have, and it was 20. I have 20 Disney kits, and some of them are very small, and some of them are not. So I'm thinking it would be fun to put them all on a spinny wheel and just have the wheel decide for me the next one I'm going to do. And then I'll work on that one till it's done, alongside whatever other projects I'm working on. And then I'll spin the wheel again to see what's next, and see just how many I can get through in a year. It probably won't be that many, but it depends on the size of the ones that are rolled, most likely. So that is the thought I'm having. I am still planning to do the Disney Fan DP along in February, but it's really a chill event. There's no prizes, there's no rules. It's if you have a Disney kit and you want to do it in February, please join me. But it's like the most laid back it could possibly get. And then a friend and I are talking about possibly doing something else together, but more info on that later once we figure it out. That is my update for the month of October. I hope you enjoyed hearing about all of my diamond painting adventures. I'd love to hear what you worked on in October, and if you got it done, and did you participate in Drills and Chills? And are you going to participate in Jingle Drills coming up? I'm so excited. I love the end of the year and all the fun events that happen. So yeah, guys, if you were just here for the diamond painting stuff, thank you for hanging around. And if you want to hear me talk about the books I read this month, then stay tuned. Okay, hi fellow book lovers. Let's talk about what I read during October. Technically, I read 9 books this month. One of them, however, was mostly a September read, and I think I did talk about it last month because I had finished it by the time I filmed my month in review video, and that was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. So I technically finished it, I think, October 1st or something. So if you want to go back to my last month's video and hear me talk about that one, then I'd recommend doing that because I don't want to talk about it twice. But that was the first one. And then after that, my kids and I finished The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This was one of our books that we were co-reading this year, and that was another 5-star read. I think every single book that we were co-reading this year so far has been 5 stars, so I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit because I picked most of these books and we've all loved them, so it's been great. So yeah, this one is the second Erin Morgenstern book we read this year. The first one was The Starless Sea back in, I don't know, the first part of the year. And I think I liked that one slightly better, just the subject of it and the way the story went. I liked it a little better, but they were both 5-star books, and Erin Morgenstern is really good at creating a movie in your mind, is what it seems like to me. Like, everything is so visual when I read her stories, and it's beautiful. This one is about a circus and a couple of magicians and a competition that they find themselves in without really knowing even what the competition is or how to win. And so it's very interesting going through this book, and as a reader, you don't know for a long time what the goal is either. So the plot is a bit wandering, it feels a bit aimless, and you're jumping around in time a lot. So especially since I read it audibly, it could get a little bit confusing. I had to pay really close attention when the narrator would give the name of the title of the section we were on, because it would always include a year, and I'd have to pay attention to whether that year was in like the present or the past or where it was on the timeline. Otherwise it could get pretty confusing. I think that would have been easier if I were reading it physically, because I could always just go back and check easier, but I still really enjoyed it. It was a 5-star read, definitely one I'd want to read again sometime, and perhaps just like The Starless Sea, it's one that I think I would enjoy annotating if I ever get around to trying that. Who knows if I will. So that was The Night Circus. I finished that on October 4th, and then I read The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Rash, which is the first one in her new series called Magic and Romance. And so this one is kind of like a D&D themed world that has like half elves and orcs and stuff like that, but it's also kind of urban fantasy because there's cars and colleges and all that stuff. It's a weird mix of fantasy and reality, and it's hard to know exactly what kind of world you're living in because it's never really spelled out. But I had a really fun time listening to this one, and Sarah Rash is one of my favorite romance authors that I've discovered recently, and I'm really enjoying everything I read by her, so looking forward to reading more by her soon. So I finished that October 6th. And then I read Wolf Song by T.J. Klune, which is the first book in the Glen Creek series. And that one is about werewolves and witches, and it was very perfect fall read, definitely. And I really enjoyed the atmosphere of this one. There were some things about it that made me knock it down a star from 5 to 4. And it was mostly in the way that it was written and some different narration tendencies that he had in this book that were kind of frustrating to listen to, and probably not as much to read on page, but listening to, it was a little frustrating because it got kind of repetitive. So this one was a 4-star read for me, but I did really like the story. And I am currently reading, spoiler alert, my whip that I'm carrying into November. I'm currently reading Raven Song, which is the second book in this series. So I liked it enough to continue. And yeah, it was a good book. 4 out of 5. I finished that one on October 8th, and then after that I started reading The Crash by Frida McFadden. I'd never tried a Frida McFadden book before, but I know a lot of my friends really like her work, especially those who listen to a lot of thriller or crime novels. I don't listen to a whole lot of those, but every once in a while I really love to read a psychological thriller or a crime novel. And this one I gave a 3 out of 5. I felt like it was a little predictable and some of the motivations of the characters felt a little unearned to me. So 3 out of 5 on that one, but I still enjoyed reading it and I'm glad I checked out her work. And I know that one of her other books, Do Not Disturb, is the current book club pick for Natalie and Michaela's book club. So I'm thinking about trying to track that one down. I tried to see if I could borrow it on Libby, but it's like weeks out, so I'd have to probably buy it. So I'm thinking about trying to track it down so I could join the book club for this month, but we'll see if I manage to do that or not. So anyway, I keep getting sidetracked. That was my next finish, was The Crash. I finished that on the 12th, and then after that I read How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. And that book is about as silly and ridiculous as the title, but also extremely good and very fun. That was a 5-star read for me. I loved this book. It was kind of a Groundhog's Day kind of setup where the main character, every time they would die, they would be kind of reborn again into the same moment. So no matter how long it took them to get to the point where they died, they would be reborn back at the same moment again before all that happened. And it was extremely fun to read. Definitely not for younger readers. There was a lot of language and other situations, but I really thoroughly enjoyed that one, and I'm excited to read the second one that I think is coming out next year. I'd have to check. I think it's coming out in like May. So I'm really excited to read that because I highly recommend that book. Very good. I finished that one on October 17th. And then after that, I read The Brightness Between Us by Elliot Schrafer. And this is the second book in his series that started with The Darkness Outside Us. I think I read that last month or the month before. And this continues the story of two young men who were astronauts who were on a mission to save one of these astronauts' sister, who had been on a mission to one of the moons of Jupiter. And then a lot of stuff happened in book 1 to change the trajectory of their fate and what happened with the two of them. And then book 2 kind of picks up from there, but later on down the road, and also goes back into their past on Earth, which I thought was really interesting for a lot of reasons. And I can't say much more than that because it'd be big time spoilers for the first and the second book, so I'm gonna leave it there. But this was a 4-star read for me. I didn't quite like it as much as the first book, just because to me the contents of the plot were not as interesting as the first book was. I still loved it a lot though, so it got 4 stars for me. I just liked the first one better. So yeah, that was The Brightness Between Us. I finished that on October 23rd, and then after that I read The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. I am sorry to say that I've never read this series. It's called His Dark Materials, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite, like growing up especially, because it's kind of a middle grade series, I guess. It's written in such a way that I feel like it's really interesting for adults to read too. I really enjoyed this first book. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked the way they're written, and some of the concepts that he's talking about in this book are really intriguing. I just wish we'd have gotten more answers in book 1. It looks like a lot more is going to happen in book 2. I'm excited to read book 2 because it's getting into some of those questions, I think, that I really have. I gave that one 4 stars. I really liked it. I'm excited to continue that series and see what all the hype is about. I know that some people have said that this book series is kind of a commentary on religion in certain ways, so I'm really intrigued to get more into that. They've already started talking about it a little bit in book 1, but I want to see, how deep it goes and what exactly the commentary is. So definitely we'll have to continue this series soon. I finished that on October 26th, and then I read Winter, which is book 4 in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, and this is kind of the wrap-up. There are 2 more novels after this, Stars Above and Fairest, and I think they're epilogues because Winter was definitely the end of the main series. The way it ended was a clear wrap up of everything. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 stars. This whole series is wonderful. It is kind of a young adult or even younger level series, but still very entertaining to read for adults. And I loved how the series itself kind of brings in all of the different fairy tales and intertwines them together and retells them in this future sci-fi way. It's really creative. It's really fun. Can't recommend these enough. So yeah, that was the 9th book I finished, and that is the end of my reading wrap-up for the month of October. I already told you guys what I'm reading currently, which is Raven Song by T.J. Klune, so that'll be the first thing I finish for November. And then I did see that on my Libby, Stars Above has popped up for me to listen to, which is that next book in the Lunar Chronicles. So I'm excited to see what it's all about because it's still 10 hours long. So it's, normal book size. I'm very curious. I'm excited. So once I finish Raven Song, I'll start on that one. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you for sticking around as I talk about books and all the stuff that I got up to during the month of October. Let me know what you've been reading and what your favorite book of this month was if you're still here. And I will DAC you all in the next video. Bye everybody!